All right, so over the past week or so, there has been a lot of stories going on in the sports world, and one of those stories is the ongoing issues that the Boston Celtics are having this NBA season. Now we're creeping up on the playoffs, and this is the time of the year where the teams from like three to eight they try to position themselves, or 2 to 8 they try to position themselves better, for playoff matchups and stuff like that. And and then the teams that are like 9, 10, 11, they try to, if they have an opportunity, they try to fight for the last playoff spot. And, so there's a lot of drama going on in the NBA. But the Celtics have internal issues they need to deal with. Now, I came out and I said that I believe that the Boston Celtics coach, Brad Stevens, he should have sat Kyrie and Jason Tatum out. Or whoever was involved in All-Star Weekend, he should have sat them out for the All-Star Weekend. And they should have, ran scrimmages. They should have tried to fix these chemistry problems during that break, because you had like 2 weeks where there were no actual games going on. So that's the opportunity that you try to figure out what the issues are that's dividing the team, and you try to fix them. And he didn't do that. And I believe Brad Stevens was a coach. I thought he was a coach. I might be wrong, but you need to you need to stop this shit before it becomes cancerous. Now, I've already gone on record and said that I believe Kyrie Irving is the source of the issues on the team, but I also said the solution would have to come from Brad Stevens. And I'm starting to believe that the rift between the team, in the team is starting to affect Kyrie's relationship with Brad Stevens. And that could ultimately be where the disconnect is strongest, is that the star player and the head coach aren't on the same page. I can see that being a problem. But I've already said that the reason why the team isn't performing well is because I don't believe you're getting enough effort out of Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown. Terry Rozier's giving nothing but effort because, he's coming up on a contract year, so he has to prove that he can play well and he can lead a team. Or he at least could perform well in the starting role. So that's why I believe, Terry Rozier doesn't give a fuck about what's going on. He's just trying to get his numbers. So he looks very attractive going into free agency. But I'm gonna let him talk, and then I'll chime in here and there.
Do you have a problem with his comments?
Yeah, big problem actually. Kyrie, you wanted your own team. You got it. And by the way, early on I said, boy, you proved me wrong. I thought you were just an offensive weapon. But you got that something that Kobe, or by the way, I'm still not even writing him off this year, in this playoffs, but like Kobe, or I mentioned Tom Brady and Derek Jeter, the kind of guy might mess up under pressure. Now it's going to overtime, but damn, he's going to get a second chance. You know what he's going to do. He's going to kill you. You're that type of dude, a winner like that, a champion. But to say we shouldn't question whether you can lead successfully, of course, that's what these games are. This script isn't written.
Now, when Kyrie said that most likely he wasn't talking about in Boston, most likely he was referring to his upcoming stint with probably the New York Knicks and his ability to probably lead that team, seeing as how they may have a top 5 pick. So they may get, a young guy to come in, and then there's talks, not from the Knicks, but there's talks that they could potentially get Kevin Durant. Now, if that happens, you'll have you'll have a bevy of players on that team. And when he says that, when he refers to that, he's talking about somewhere else. I don't think that he's going to stay in Boston. Honestly, I don't think he should stay in Boston. I'm talking about for the team's sake and for his sake. Because for his sake, if you're not wanted somewhere, why the hell would you want to be there? Like if the people that are supposed to have your back and are supposed to be with you 100% of the way is faltering because of their relationship with you, like they're so emotionally unstable that they can't even do their job properly. Why would I want to be there? You know, and like I said, man, I believe he's the source of the issues. I don't believe that he's intentionally the problem. It's just his presence there is causing a. Now, I also watched the video some time ago, and it was somebody brought up Gordon Hayward and his numbers. I didn't know that Gordon Hayward was playing over 20 minutes a game. I didn't know that he was playing over. I'll watch the Celtics play when they're on TV, and I didn't see Gordon Hayward play that much. So I didn't think that his numbers was 23 minutes a game. And then he's only scoring 5 points. That's also a problem. I mean, Brad Stevens is playing this dude a lot. You have to get something more than 5 points. But also what could be the problem is Gordon Hayward is a shooter. He's not anything else but a shooter. I mean, this dude's not even a scorer. He's a shooter. And shooters primarily need the ball. They don't need the ball in their hands. They need to get touches. They need to shoot. They need attempts. I don't know if I would call Gordon Hayward a volume shooter, but I've never really, when he was in Utah, I never really watched him play extensively, so I didn't know if he was a volume shooter. Kobe is a volume shooter. You know, like, I don't know if he was a volume shooter. You know, where he would continuously have to get shots to get in rhythm. But I'm starting to believe that because his game is not 100%, but he's at least 75% back, and his game is still looking kind of weak. And I'm starting to think that it's because he's not getting more attempts. Now, when you have so much talent on your team, you have to spread the wealth, and that means that everybody, to some degree, is going to have to take less in order for everybody to eat. So I think it's way too much talent on this team. They need to, once the playoffs is over and once, you know, players start going their separate ways, you know, and you start to recoup for next year, they need to move some of these pieces and unclog the logjam that's going on this team, man. Like, you know, they have at least 4 players at the small forward position that could probably start on other teams. So you need to, like, spread that shit out.
Write the script. Yes, it's a team sport, but that's the point of being a leader on the team. How often do, like, mid-season interviews, national interviews that you've sat down for, work when that leader airs the dirty laundry and throws young players under the bus? How often does that work? Because it certainly backfired in this case. I know you're searching for answers. You're actually playing very well. It's other players on the team that aren't, but you got to get everyone on the same page. That's part of the leader's responsibility. And if it's not working, we're going to say it's not working. And I got news, Stephen A. This Celtics team went to the conference finals last year without Kyrie or Gordon Hayward. I mentioned it was a mistake not to trade Kyrie at the deadline because you're not going to get anything for him. But you know, I've been thinking about it. Without Kyrie, they play very well. And Gordon Hayward should recover eventually from this injury. Look what happened with Paul George. He got better than ever. If Gordon Hayward becomes most of what he used to be or what he used to be, and he's playing the 3 and Jaylen Brown continues to ascend now, and he's playing the 2 and Tatum's at the 4 and Horford's at the 5 and Rozier and Smart and these guys are at the 1, why can't the Celtics win a championship with this group without Kyrie? Because that could happen. So Kyrie, like,
and to go off of what Max is saying, man, like, I hear plenty of people saying that Tatum is a bust or he's not the player that everybody thought he was going to be from his performance last year in the playoffs and Jaylen Brown and all this other stuff. We don't know what these players are going to be. Right now, we're just going off of what we see right now. You know, if Kyrie were to leave in the offseason and Tatum and Brown both would come out next year and look like all-star players, now the notion has changed. Now the opinion has been swayed. Oh, I believe they're all-star players now. We don't know what these players can be. And I think that's the reason why they're failing so much and they're not giving that much effort, is because we're not really getting a chance to see them at their fullest. Because last year in the playoffs, I won't say it was a 2-man show, but it was pretty much a 2-man It was a two-man game. Brown and Tatum was setting the tone. Horford was leading the way. Rozier was providing a spark at the point guard position. And then you had a group of guys coming off the bench that it just made everything click. Everything was clicking last year, and you could just see it. You know? They took LeBron James to 7 games. They beat the shit out of Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid. They beat Giannis and Chris Middleton. I don't see how they're bust. Maybe they're just having a down year. And a huge example of late bloomers are the 2004 Detroit Pistons, who were previously on the Pistons were Ben Wallace and Tayshaun Prince. And then I believe they signed Rasheed Wallace that year or the year before. And then they traded for Chauncey Billups and Rip Hamilton. None of those guys you would think would be crucial parts of an NBA championship. Yet all 5 of those guys played together and won a championship. I'm pretty sure if you would ask anybody before that season, hey, yo, do you think Rip Hamilton will be one of the best mid-range jump shooters in the NBA and help lead his team to a championship? Do you think Tayshaun Prince will be one of the best lockdown defenders in the NBA and help lead his team to a championship? Do you think that Chauncey Billups will hit big shots in the NBA Finals and help lead his team to a championship? If you ask anybody that, man, you'll probably get laughed out of the fucking room before that season. But when the season happened, man, it caught everybody. I was a young kid and I was a novice to basketball, and that shit surprised the fuck out of me because all I heard all year was Kobe, Shaq, all this. And then they got Gary Payton, Karl Malone. I mean, it was an upset. It was a massive fucking upset. But I mean, those guys didn't have the reputation before that championship run. So if Kyrie leaves, I'm pretty sure everybody's going to say, oh man, this team's done. I don't know. Danny Ainge might have to figure something else out. Does he? Because if you take Kyrie away, there's still a whole lot of talent on this team. A whole lot of talent. There's still a lot of fucking talent. And you still might have to move some more pieces. And one of the things I've been saying this when they drafted him, Robert Williams need to be put at the center position, and you need to slide Al Horford over to the power forward position. And if anything is an example of why that would work, was when he blocked Anthony Davis' shot, and it was a clean, they both jumped at the same time block, and he stuffed it. And Robert Williams don't get that much time in the game, man. But I believe if you put him at the center position, the reason why Boston has been losing a lot recently, and they lost to like the Lakers and the Clippers, is rebounding and low post defense, man. This is why Detroit, they bully them. This is why no matter what the New Orleans Pelicans look like, they always have a chance to win. Teams that rebound the ball, this is why Phoenix plays well against them. Any team that can rebound the ball well and defend in the low post will beat the Boston Celtics because Al Horford is a huge matchup issue. And the only one that he seems to bully down low is Joel Embiid. Joel Embiid gets pushed around by him. You need to put Robert Williams at the center position because that's what he's good at. And when they drafted him, I was like, that's what they need. But no, they put him at I think he's playing the 4, but he's not even starting. Next year, once Kyrie leaves, if Terry Rozier decides to leave or if he stays, whatever, you put Robert Williams in at the center position. And if we still have Al Horford, I believe we still have him for 2 years. If we still have Al Horford, move him to the 4. So I believe that's how to. And then you have if Terry Rozier stays, then you have Rozier at the point guard. You have Jaylen Brown at the 2, or Marcus Smart at the 2, however you decide to do it. And you have Tatum at the 3, you have Horford at the 4, you have Williams at the 5. Next year, man, that's what the lineup should look like. And I doubt it'll look like that, but that's what it should look like.
Are the questions we ask and the opinions that we have. That's part of the business. That's part of having your own team. Stephen A., he didn't get dealt to the Atlanta Hawks, to the Orlando Magic. He got dealt to the basketball crazy Boston Celtics with a crew. He got dealt to a place with a crew and got a great young.
Real quick, nobody knew that when the trade happened with Isaiah Thomas and Kyrie Irving. The notion was Boston is just getting Kyrie and it'll just be Kyrie and Al Horford, and then you're also getting Gordon Hayward. Nobody expected Jason Tatum to come along the way he did. Nobody expected Jaylen Brown to bounce back from that. People considered it a terrible rookie season. I just thought it was average. But nobody expected these guys to step up. Marcus Smart to become a crucial player, a crucial energy player off the bench. Nobody expected all this. And when you looked at the trade, it looked like Cleveland won the trade. Yeah, I mean, you're getting a top 10 pick. You're getting Jay Crowder, who's a really good 3-and-D guy. And you're getting Isaiah Thomas, who is coming off the hip injury, but I don't know. Maybe you can package him and move him somewhere else or something. I don't know. There was ways that the Cleveland Cavaliers could have maximized off of that, and they didn't. And that was their fault.
Coach and all that. How much more does he want? So if we notice the team is functioning worse with him than without him, whatever my opinion might be, Kyrie's a killer, he's a winner, all these things, we're going to say what we see. We're going to ask him questions about the way he's leading. Of course we are. That's the job to ask questions.
Well, first of all, I think you're wrong on a couple of fronts. Not with talking about how he has to be a better leader, because you're absolutely right. The greatness of Kyrie Irving as a player is somewhat stained and sullied by his deficiencies.
And real quick, also to go off what Stephen A. is saying, that little tactic that he pulled with talking about I call it LeBron, that tremendously backfired. It didn't work the way he wanted it to work. And most likely, I believe he got that from Kobe, man. Because Kobe and LeBron, man. But I believe he got that from Kobe. And it backfired. It didn't work. What he wanted it to accomplish, it didn't. And now I'm pretty sure he's gone. Which he should be.
The leader. He's still he's learning on the job as we speak. So nobody's about to deny that there. Nobody wants to hear a young black man who's elite at his craft, who's rich and famous and a champion, complaining about life. In that regard, he's got to shut up, because ain't nobody trying to hear that nonsense. That much I will give you. But when you break down the basketball analysis, let's make sure we pay attention to a couple of things. And this is where I disagree with you. Number one, you said he went to a crew. That's not necessarily true. They became a crew, but when he arrived, that wasn't necessarily the case. You didn't know what.
Thank you, and that's exactly what I just said. When he went there, nobody expected these guys to play the way they did. Nobody expected it, especially when they lost to Cleveland and then they lost to Milwaukee. Everybody had questions about Kyrie's decision. And then they won 16 straight. That's when the tide changed and everybody was on their side at that point. But when he went there, I'm pretty sure the notion was it's just going to be Kyrie, Gordon Hayward, and Al Horford. And that's it. And then you got a bunch of rookies, second-year guys, and secondary players.
Jason Tatum was going to be. You saw that Jaylen Brown had a little bit of potential. Nobody was thinking about Terry Rozier. Marcus Smart was some kid out of Oklahoma State that some people said, you know what, coming out of Oklahoma State, he's tough, he's defensive-minded and what have you, but he ain't going to knock anybody's socks off. Al Horford was a serviceable to decent big man in Atlanta that people were
Al Horford probably was my favorite improvement last year. Like the player that improved in the most positive way possible was Al Horford. For one, he stayed healthy. When he was in Atlanta, this dude couldn't stay healthy at all. This dude can stay healthy at all. I mean, he'll have a couple years where he played a majority of the season, but he for the most part he stayed injured. But then not only did he stay healthy last year, and I guess he worked on his conditioning. He improved his 3-point shot to the point where now you have to play this guy. If you don't play him, if you give him a second of space, there's a great chance he'll knock down a 3-point shot. One of my favorite improvements last year.
Ended up in Boston and felt somewhat overpaid. That's what Kyrie Irving went to. What? And then that's what he went to. That's what happened. Excuse me, I said it. I mean, go back and read the report.
Yeah, go back and look at when that trade happened. Go back and look at most of the reports about the Celtics versus the Cleveland Cavaliers post trade. And I'm pretty sure. Like, I seen a few segments where people were discussing the state of the Boston Celtics and how Kyrie was making a bad choice by just leaving LeBron and having a chance to win a title to go to, where he got traded to the Celtics. And, he may win in 2 years or 3 years. Nobody expected them to compete last year. The notion was in 2 years, the Boston Celtics would be ready to compete.
That's what everybody was saying.
No, that's not what everybody was saying.
Yes, it was. Yes, it was. Just go back to what they were saying.
Horford was a decent,
serviceable
big man.
I let you speak. I gotta listen to your nonsense.
If anybody comes out now and says that they expected Horford to play the way that he did, are liars. Are liars. And I'm pretty sure there was a huge majority of the population that believe Horford was overpaid. So,
talking basketball, I'm almost allergic to it. I let you speak. I didn't say a word. I sat back and I listened. Now you listen. Here's the deal. You don't want to accept the damage that the Gordon Hayward situation did to the Boston Celtics. Nobody wants to talk about that because it makes everybody uncomfortable.
All right, now the Gordon Hayward thing. I believe it was both a positive and a negative. And here's why. The positive was it allowed Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown to play more last year, which allowed them to improve on the go. Now, the negative was you take away his production. Now, it's taking him forever to get back to where he was 2 years ago. And now you just paid a king's ransom to somebody. And I'm not saying it's Gordon Hayward's fault, but you paid a king's ransom to somebody who's right now a shell of himself. Who's a shell of himself. And now you have all that money on the books for a guy who can't give you what you paid him to give you. But because Brad Stevens probably loves this kid, he's coached this kid for a very long time, he's not going to go anywhere. So all that money right there is dead money unless you could get Gordon Hayward to play at that level that you need him to play at.
Makes me uncomfortable talking about it. You know why it makes me uncomfortable? Because I think Gordon Hayward is a very good guy. I think he's a big-time talent coming out of Utah. Only thing that I'm saying about Gordon Hayward, that was a really, really nasty injury. He had no business coming back as soon as he did, let alone being in the starting lineup. When they decided to do that, it compromised Tatum, it compromised Brown, it compromised Kyrie.
And after they sat him down this year, the first time when he was starting to start the season, when they sat him down, you started to notice a shift in the play of Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum, and you noticed an improvement in the team. But now the problem is Kyrie.
It compromised Terry Rozier. It compromised everybody. And then here's the biggest thing.
Stephen A., are you looking at the screen? The numbers are almost the same with him on and off the court.
Listen to Gordon Hayward. Watch the film. And oh, by the way, talk to a few players and see what they say about him. Go inside to a locker room or talk to opponents that have competed against Gordon Hayward who found themselves feeling sorry for him because they know he's not the same player. We ain't listening to just the numbers like you do. We're watching. And
that's what I'm saying. Yo, I don't know how many times I got to keep saying that, man. The numbers argument is becoming overblown, and it's starting to make me feel like numbers need to be excluded from all these conversations because people rely way too much on the numbers. Oh, well, you see, he played well. Look at his efficiency numbers. No. And this is the problem. And this is why people overpaid for fucking, this is why the Houston Rockets overpaid for Jeremy Lin, and this is why people, they overhyped the whole Jeremy Lin thing. It's because Jeremy Lin was one of those flash in the pan players, one of those 1 year, not even 1 year, just one stretch wonders that that caught everybody by surprise. I mean, he played phenomenally, and that was such a misrepresentation of his actual talent. Because when he went to the Houston Rockets, and since then, he has never gotten close to that level that he was in New York. And I'm pretty sure a lot of people based it off of his numbers. And Jeremy Lin had terrific numbers. But his numbers never got back to that point again. So you can't really base your arguments on numbers. And this is why people try to throw LeBron over Michael Jordan, is because of the whole PER thing. So, I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't put too much stock in the numbers. Like, I'll listen to them, but I won't make that the basis of an argument. I'm sorry.
Telling you he's not the same player. Not that he will be, because I think the future's bright. But this year, and
you
this
ready
is the point,
for me to refute every one of your points?
This is the point that I'm. Listen, man. You know what? I'm gonna be nice. Because I can eat you alive, but I'm gonna be nice.
Eat me alive. You're about to lose every single word out of your mouth was wrong. I'm gonna demonstrate in a second.
Since you think people are interested in saying what you hear,
and most likely Max is gonna bring out a shitload of numbers.
What you have to say, go ahead and speak there. Because I was getting ready to get to the point about psychologically what it's done and why those players have a problem. But you don't.
And psychologically, I believe that's a bigger conversation than the numbers. I believe psychologically the state of the team, because a lot of people don't realize this, man. Sports is mental. I've played sports. And when I was into a game, I played a lot better than when I was distracted. And that's just common sense. When you're distracted, I mean seriously distracted, it affects your job performance. And that's just all walks of life. It affects your job performance. It's, when you're focused, you do a far better job, a far more efficient job. And I believe that's a bigger argument than, oh, well, look at the efficiency numbers off the court, on the court. It's a way bigger argument.
You want to address that. You don't want to address the fact that they went out of their way to look out for Gordon Hayward. And that is what has served to divide this team, not Kyrie Irving. But you don't want to go there.
Well, the numbers just indicated that they're slightly worse with Gordon Hayward on the floor as off, but they're much worse with Kyrie on the floor than off. So to say it's Gordon Hayward issue it may have contributed something. Those are the two pieces they.
And again, he's going off the numbers. The reason why it may be a bigger discrepancy between Gordon Hayward's on and off versus Kyrie's on and off is because Kyrie's out there more. He's a part of the offense more. He's a part of playing more. Like, he's more involved in what the team is doing. Gordon Hayward is one of those guys that, he was like he's just limping around, waiting for his opportunity to get open. They'll find him the ball here and there. A couple players will set him a screen. If he's not open, he'll shoot pat over the screen. And that's usually what he does. But Kyrie has the ball in his hands a majority of the time. So, of course, the efficiency is going to be lower. It's like if me and somebody else is shooting a basketball, 3-point shots. And I take 10 shots while he's taking 3 shots, and we both make 3 shots. Of course, his percentage of shot makes are going to be higher because he's taking less shots, or he had less opportunities, and I had more opportunities, and I wasn't able to capitalize. You see what I'm saying? So numbers can be manipulated, man. That doesn't mean, even though we made the same number of shots, doesn't mean that, like, you just have to do more than just look at the numbers. That's why the eyeball test should matter as well. Being able to sit there, watch the game, and decipher the information that you're getting is also crucial. But a guy like Max, I mean, he's too busy worried about the numbers. And the reason why I think he focused on the numbers so much in basketball and in like football, but he doesn't really focus on the numbers when it comes to boxing, is because he knows more about boxing. The eyeball test for him in boxing is far more advanced than it is in basketball. So he's not very good when it comes to conversations about basketball. So he has to rely on the numbers, because the numbers tell his brain this is good in basketball and this is bad in basketball, because he probably doesn't even watch basketball, honestly. I mean, Max Kellerman looks like the type of guy that he'll miss a big game that's on, and he'll watch the highlights, and he'll make a lot of his assumptions off the highlights and the stats after the game.
And to integrate into the team or reintegrate, but to pin it on Gordon Hayward. Look, Gordon Hayward's injury was a lot like Paul George's, probably worse. And it took Paul George about a year to come back to full strength. I expect the same thing with Gordon Hayward, who was never quite as good as Paul George in the first place, but could return to all-star form. I think that's reasonable. And it's going to take him about a season to get back. Whether or not it was wise to...
And all that is if this black dude can do it, this white dude can do it as well. Stop counting them out. That's all that is. All right. That's it. I just wanted to do a quick video about the Celtics, man, because right now they're in a whirlwind of bullshit, and they need to find a way out of it. Otherwise, they're going to sink, and this postseason run is going to be lost, and then you're going to lose your last opportunity to actually do anything of significance with Kyrie. They need to figure it out, and they need to do it now. All right.